Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's not so bright and early. It's 10 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, my hair's still wet. I just got back from a bike ride. I hopped in the shower real quick. I've been thinking about doing this video for about 48 hours now. And I didn't even bother drying my hair because if I wait much longer, I'm not going to do this video. I'm not going to talk about this. I'm just going to put it in the back of my memory. It's a recovery video. I almost made a choice that could have been a very bad choice just 2 days ago, Friday afternoon. The reason I'm talking about this, I know a lot of thousands of addicts deal with triggers, and I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to use a P word, I'm going to use adult material because this has to do with an adult bookstore, an adult video store. I'm going to talk about that today. I have another channel, Clean and Sober it's called. And I haven't put a video up there in a while. And there's a more explicit video because that channel's not monetized. I think it's got this one particular video. I can't say the name of it, but you'll recognize it when you see the name of it. It's got four different subjects, more or less, in the title. And it's gotten about 7,000 views. But the comments in that are people thanking me for talking about something that's so private. That's the reason I'm talking about this. The point here is that triggers never go away. I have 16 years, 8 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days clean and sober. I've been sober since October 23rd, 2006. And the reason I'm making this video, it's embarrassing what I'm going to talk about. It's just, it was something that I was considering doing, an action. I was going to stop somewhere, and I didn't. I didn't do it, but in retrospect, I want to talk about why I didn't do it. For people that are in recovery, or for anybody that's just interested in the subject, what made me change my mind? What could have happened if I actually went through with it? It's the biggest trigger I have. It's adult material and adult bookstores. The reason, let me go back in my history in case you're not too familiar with my channel. I talked about one of the first times I ever viewed this, like when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I came across a magazine, and it hit me so hard. I still remember my face flushing, the excitement. It was my blood pressure went through the roof. It hit me like drugs would in the future. In my 20s, I delivered for a magazine company, and I delivered adult magazines, every one you could name, both soft and hardcore, to probably about 20 or 30 bookstores, adult bookstores throughout Connecticut, Rhode Island, and New York. And I would go in, I would deliver bundles of magazines. I'd go through the back video arcade, they called it. I got familiar with the way things operate in there. Back when I started using, it became a cross addiction for me. When I used this adult material, would be the first thing. They were interconnected. If I saw one, I would think of the other. If I saw a magazine, I would immediately think of my dealer's phone number. This isn't something I haven't talked about too much too. I would go to these bookstores by myself occasionally, but at least I would go with women, girls that I was partying with or who I was seeing at the time. At least a dozen women that I would go to these bookstores with while we were using to look at things to buy, for little adventures. I can't get more specific than that. At least 12, a dozen women, at least. So this is still, it's a huge trigger for me. I told you guys I had to stay celibate pretty much for 7 years. And then I got into having normal relationships, and thank God I could glimpse adult material here and there, and it didn't have the same effect on me anymore. All right, so fast forward to Friday. I decided just out of the spur of the moment, I decided to take a ride to the beach. And on the way there, it's an hour drive, and on the way there, I was going through Meriden, Connecticut, and there's an adult bookstore right off the highway. I used to go to it when I used. Now, I've gone past this bookstore since I've been clean and sober in the last 16, 17 years. I've gone past it probably maybe about 100 times in the last 16 or 17 years, maybe 5, 10 times a year. And it always goes through my mind. It always, it's right, I think about it when I go by. I've never stopped. I didn't even know if it was still open. I have not set foot in one of these shops or gone, bought magazines or looked at any, I don't think I've even looked at magazines. I found a few here and there. I don't think I've even paged through any of this stuff or videos or any of that in the last 17 years. But I have not set foot. Oh, and on this road too, there is bars with dancers. So it's one of those roads, the Berlin Turnpike, with dancers, hotels, motels, adult stores. It's one of those drags. And so I've been single since my girlfriend, my soulmate, died August 5th of 2021 from COVID, Audrey, and I've been single. I haven't had any contact with anybody, and it gets a little tense. Back when I was dating, these were two good relationships, and I was really glad I made a good decision with these two different girls I dated, and they made me more confident and believe in myself more, and what a normal, sexual relationship, intimate relationship is supposed to be. But over the last almost 2 years now, so I've been single, and I was just I'd been to the beach for 5-6 hours. I was coming back, and it started to go through my mind, and I looked it up to see if the store was still open while I was at the beach before I left the beach. So that was the first one it started going through my mind just as I was ready to leave. And this store is still open because I didn't know if it was still open. This is 17 years later. So on the way back, I'm thinking about popping in this bookstore. It's the biggest trigger that got me using, the number one trigger that always set me off back when I was using. My mind would go right to a dealer's phone number, and I was considering on the way back, I was thinking about what exit I'd get off, how long it would take me to drive down the road, pull in the parking lot. Once I got in there, I didn't know what I would do, look through the magazines, buy anything, I don't know. But I started, how long would I be in there? How long would I have to divert from my travels and everything? What's the exit number and all that? And I was this close to turning in there. And then I thought about this. I thought about, there was a couple of reasons why I didn't, but I thought about this. I thought about what's going to happen when I walk in that door. I tell you guys, one of the things I always ask myself when I'm faced with this is, what good could come of this? And part of me saying, well, you're kind of lonely. I'm admitting some embarrassing things here, but who's gonna know? And that little voice was talking in my head. It's been over 17 years, and that little voice is giving me reasons to pull in there. This is one of the main reasons I didn't, because I remembered back on how this stuff used to hit me, and I thought about this when I walk in there, and all of a sudden I realize I know what's going to happen physiologically to me. My heart is just going to start pounding. I'm going to start sweating. My heart will start racing. My pulse will start racing. I'll get excited. I know this will happen, and I could already see myself, because I don't have any dealers, I don't have any phone numbers left. I could already see myself start to wonder, like, well, geez, if I was I call this lighting the fuse, if you used to use, you know what I'm talking about. But I pictured that feeling, once the smell of the place hit me, the smell, the sights, the sounds, and everything. When I walked in there, I was like, oh my God, it's going to hit me hard. And I probably will be in a whole nother place. Thinking about doing it is one thing, but walking in there, it's going to hit me hard physically and mentally. It's going to trigger me. I kept counting the exits down as I was getting close to it, and I didn't know if I was going to pull off or not. And I drove by. Another reason I drove by is because out of habit. this is one of the things that's good about when you have many years of recovery, because I've driven past it, like I said, almost 100 times. So that made it this much easier to not go there. If this had been, like the first year of my recovery, I could have easily screwed up. I could have been a lot weaker because of the habit of just driving by and being in a good place, But I seriously, and I wasn't going to tell anybody this. It was just in my mind. I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere, but it was all just in my head. And I started thinking about this channel. Really, what's the purpose of this channel? Sometimes I think about what legacy I'll leave, because I don't have kids or anything. I think about my paintings maybe being on the wall 100 years from now, with my signature on them. But I get the feeling that I'm still here, because I came close to not being here so many times that if I could just help somebody, and instead of just giving you guys platitudes, I think they're called, like, I'm powerless, or just one day at a time, the regular NA platitudes. Why don't I just get my hands dirty and and tell you guys, because I know that there's thousands of people out there, tens of thousands of people, especially guys, that have been using stimulants especially, and that are dealing with this. Ask yourself, what good could come of this? And I pictured what's going to happen to me when I walked in there. And I knew I couldn't handle it. Even 17 years later, I knew in my heart when I walked in that door, I wouldn't be able to handle it. And I would start thinking about where I could go get something. And I'm very thankful that I didn't go in there, but I was this close. And it's, look where I am. Almost 18 years clean and sober, and it's still, the dangers are still right there. And I tell you guys this because I know a lot of you have been or will be in the same exact position. And what has to go through your mind? Because I am so grateful that I didn't do it. Remember me saying that if next time you're in that position. I am so grateful that I didn't do it, because nothing good would have come of that. So I hope this helps. Recovery is possible. It's the best. These last 17 and a half years have been the best of my life, the best socially, my relationships, intimacy, money, my family, everything, the best years of my life. Recovery is possible. Have a good Sunday.